Sit in an upright, confident but comfortable position. If it is comfortable to do so, you can close your eyes. Engage in soothing rhythm breathing and make a friendly facial expression, allowing your body and mind to slow down as you breathe out. Say to yourself as you're breathing out, body slowing down and mind slowing down. Now, like an actor getting into a role, you are going to use your imagination to create an outline of what you would like to be as a compassionate person. So, for a moment, think about the qualities you would have if this was the case. It doesn't matter if you feel you actually are a compassionate person right now. We're just going to imagine that you have these qualities, just like actors do when they take on a role. You are going to focus on 3 specific qualities of your compassionate self: wisdom, strength, and caring commitment. We will focus on each one of these in turn. Let's start with wisdom. Your wisdom comes from many places. One set comes from an understanding that we have tricky brains, which often get caught up in loops, and that we have this overreactive threat system that causes emotions like anger, fear, and shame that can be very painful and difficult to manage. We didn't choose to have a mind that works like this, nor so many of the things that shape us. We didn't choose our genes, our bodies, our ethnicity or culture, but all of these have had a significant impact on the person we've become. So your compassionate self has a deep wisdom about the nature of life itself. It knows that so many of our problems are rooted in things that have been beyond our control, that much of what goes on in our minds is not our fault. The wise part of our compassionate self knows that it's our responsibility to learn to do something about our suffering. This involves stepping back from blame, shame, and judgment, and cultivating our minds in a way that might be helpful. So just as the grass, flowers, and shrubs of a garden can grow in all sorts of ways if we let it, the wisdom of your compassionate self can help you appreciate that if this version of you is not how you would like to be, if it is contributing to your own suffering, that you can learn to do something about it. So spend a little time now just focusing on what it would be like to be a wise person, and how, if these insights were in front of your mind, how these would influence how you see and understand the people in your life. Now let's move on to the quality of strength and courage. These qualities of your compassionate self are in part linked to your body posture, upright, alert, and grounded in the chair. The strength of your compassionate self also arises from your soothing breathing rhythm, which helps you feel anchored and grounded. It can be useful to imagine how your compassionate self might stand or hold its posture that represents strength and courage. If it helps, imagine that like a tree with deep roots that remain standing and resilient throughout a storm. Your compassionate self is also rooted in a way that means it can be in the presence of distress and never get overwhelmed. Now, imagine yourself as a tree with deep roots for a few seconds. Or imagine that like a mountain that has withstood millennia of bad weather, your compassionate self is also resolute and strong in the face of your threat system, helping you to tolerate whatever distress emerges in your life. Now, imagine yourself as a million-year-old mountain for a few seconds. Take a moment to imagine what it would be like to face some of the stress that turns up in your life, but doing this as your strong, grounded, compassionate self. Finally, let's focus on the quality of commitment. Your compassionate self has a deep, caring commitment. It recognizes life is often hard, and because of this, your compassionate self wants to do what it can do to alleviate your own and other people's distress. Imagine that this part of you has the energy and drive to do what it can do to be supportive, kind, and helpful. Imagine how you would stand if you had a connection with this caring commitment. Consider your facial expressions, your voice tone, what they might be like if you were deeply caring and committed to alleviating suffering. Spend 30 seconds on this. Now, try to imagine all of the qualities I've talked about, the wisdom, strength, and caring commitment coming together as your compassionate self. Take 30 seconds or so imagining your compassionate self with all these qualities. How might you stand? How might you speak? How would you think and feel? How would you try to respond to people as your compassionate self? Don't worry again if you don't feel that you have these qualities. Like an actor playing a character, just imagine what it would be like if you did have all of these three qualities of self-compassion, wisdom, strength, and caring commitment. Now slowly begin to allow the image to fade and return back to noticing your soothing breathing rhythm, an upright, confident posture in the chair. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes and bring yourself back to the room.